My character is called Nick, and he's a Canadian surfer. And basically the story kind of, he goes down to Colombia in search of paradise, basically, and falls in love with this young girl, and the girl ends up being the niece of that guy, of Pablo Escobar. And that's kind of how he gets himself caught up in this whole world. And after that, it becomes a story about Pablo bringing Nick into his family and then turning on him, and it all goes downhill from there. No, I didn't actually. I didn't know very much about Pablo. I mean, for me, I kind of saw him as like a Robin Hood type guy. I mean, I knew that he had done bad things, obviously, and he was a cartel and whatnot. But at the same time, I heard that he always gave back to the community and took care of his family and all these things, which were true. However, he would also use the reason he did that was to use it to his own advantage. So I learned a lot about the kind of monster of Pablo as well. Before I did this film, I kind of seems like a more Robin Hood type guy. And then after talking with Andrea and after filming this movie, I learned so much about the horrific things that he was doing to people as well. And how he would bring people in close like Nick and then turn on them and use them for his own deeds like he does to Nick. And it was really twisted and messed up. So I learned a lot about the darker side of Pablo. It's hard to make a movie where Pablo is the real protagonist of the story because he's like the villain, you know. So to kind of go at the story through a fresh perspective, to go at the story through an innocent, pure person who comes into the world of Pablo, and to make it fictionalized. Therefore, you can create a world that's very real. You know, all the things of Pablo, were who he was and how he was with his family, that was all very real. The character of Nick was fictional. So to come into the story with a guy who was innocent and pure, and to kind of see how Pablo was able to take someone and manipulate them and bring them in so close and then turn on them and make them, you know, face horrific things. I think that was kind of what Andrea his goal was to show the introduction of evil into something that's pure and true. I didn't do so much because I also, like, Nick was supposed to have like a fresh perspective on him, which is in a way kind of what I had. I mean, Nick was supposed to know nothing about Pablo because at that time Pablo wasn't who we all know him as today, and it's different. You didn't have Google, so you know it wasn't so easy for somebody to just find out, oh, who's Pablo Escobar. So for me, I didn't do so much, but yeah, Andrea did a ton of research. He talked to the family of Escobar. He read so many books and things like that. So he did a lot of research to try to create a world as realistic as possible. I think that the character was so interesting. I think to see a character that goes from, you know, having such pure motivation and just going for, you know, to live life and to find love and all these things, and then all of a sudden he's caught up in this world that he never intended to be a part of, and how you fight for your life and you fight for the life of your loved one. And yeah, for me, the way that the script had the suspense and it had so much. I mean, at the heart of the story, it was a love story. You know, it was about a guy fighting for his love, and for me, I think that's really beautiful and nice. And then to see what he goes through to accomplish that, I think was what really drew me to it. He was great. Andre was fantastic. You would never have guessed that was his first film. He was a pro. You know, he's been an actor for years, and so he's been around sets a lot, and he knows how to communicate with actors. He knows how to bring out the best of you, and yeah, I mean, working with him was incredible. He just, I don't know, he knows the story inside and out. He wrote it and he lived it. Like, he really lives in this story, and for me, yeah, I couldn't have asked for more from a director. He was so great at collaborating with us and working with us to find the truth in the scenes. I don't know, he was fantastic. I wish I could make the movie again right now. Like, I loved it so much. To have worked with Benicio before, it was weird because I worked with him, he directed me before, and now like acting with him was a very different experience. But I mean, he's so intense and intimidating as an actor on screen, but he's not like that in real life. So to kind of know that the guy he is away from that helped me a lot to be comfortable with him. So in those scenes where I'm supposed to be, you know, getting to know Pablo, like in the bedroom scene, we're just talking and, you know, getting to know each other. I think that if I didn't know him before, I'd be a lot more intimidated and I'd feel a little more insecure. But because I knew who he was and, you know, we'd worked together before, it definitely helped me a lot to feel more comfortable. Claudia, she's incredible. She's so great. I mean, for me, like I was saying, the story is about the love story. You know, that's the whole. If you don't believe that, you don't believe the movie, because this guy goes through horrible, giant things in order to fight for this love. But if you don't believe that, then you're kind of, you know, up the creek without a paddle. But I mean, she was fantastic, and we had to find an actress that had that same purity that we wanted Nick to have, this innocence, this beauty, or else like, how could you believe that this guy falls in love with the niece of a giant, the biggest drug cartel in the world? Like, he wouldn't see something was up beforehand. So to find that actress was very important, and Claudia was incredible. Like, to work with her was so great. She was such a light on set, and really you fell in love with her the moment you saw her. And so for me, that was so important for the audience and for my character as well. How do I sum it up? You know, it was a hard experience. It was really hard. We shot down in Panama, and the conditions were tough. There was environmental challenges, but honestly, it was an incredible film for me to work on. I was one of like 2 or 3 Americans on the whole shoot, so it was a very different experience working on a truly European film. Italian director, French, Spanish co-production with crew from all over the world, Mexico, South America, Cuba, everywhere. So that was really cool for me to kind of be a part of this other world that I'd never really seen before, and to see how they all worked together was incredible. One thing I love so much about Nick is that he had this kind of purity, and sort of when he was put into this world, he didn't have intentions of, I mean, his guy's never experienced anything like this before, and for me, I kind of felt that I don't know, connected with that, because this experience was a first-time thing for me, you know, working with this kind of crew and filming this kind of intense role. I don't know, I think maybe he meant that, I think he meant exactly what he said, that I melded with him. I think that we kind of, I don't know, I felt very comfortable in the character, I felt comfortable in the role, and he did a great job of making me feel at home on the set. He's very charming. He's very charming, and well, I mean, I don't know Pablo. I only know Benicio's, you know, portrayal. But the way that we kind of saw him in this movie, well, he was a guy, and that's one of the reasons why he was so successful. What he did, because he was able to convince his family, friends, the community that he was this guy that was good and would bring you in and help you, and you know, like everything I do for my family. But then you see the horrific things that he does also. So it's like a weird kind of two-sided sort of guy. It was great. I mean, Benicio's incredible. He's inspired me to want to become a much better actor. Just watching him on set and seeing how he performs his character. Like, when I act, I'm just like acting and trying to be real and feeling in the moment. But he has objectives in scenes. He has like a real, I don't know, a real presence that is so intimidating, but at the same time so welcoming, just like it's like Pablo would. And no, I mean, working with him was incredible. Really, it's like a master acting class. That's one of my favorite things about it, was it had so many things to offer as a film. I think that, I mean, for me, at the heart of it, it's a love story. You know, it's a love story about Nick and Maria, and that's how Nick gets into this whole mess, and that's what drives Nick to keep going through this the entirety of the film. But it also, I mean, it's a film about, it's really about manipulation. I think it's about manipulation, about how someone can seem to be one thing and then be something completely different. It was incredible. Andrea was fantastic. I mean, truthfully, like, especially for a first-time director, he blew me away. Honestly, I'm dying to do more movies with him. You know, he had so much passion for this story. From the first time I met him, the first time I read the script, you could feel his passion for the story and for these characters, and his drive to be an incredible director. And he did that. He accomplished it absolutely. He was a leader on set, and someone I knew I could count on, and whose opinion was never wrong, honestly. Like, we collaborated, but he always had, you know, the right way, and that was, for me, really comforting as a director to have. There was a little more in the original script and what we shot. There was more, not much, but a little bit more of the love story in the beginning, kind of like showing that develop. Yeah. But like when you edit things, you know, they switch things around, and you know, the movie comes together in the editing room. However, that would be cool to see more of. But honestly, I think the way that Andrea crafted the story and put it all together, I can't think of anything that I really want other people to see. I think that the movie that Andrea created is so great for me. Incredible, no, incredible. I mean, working on an international movie like this and working with an international crew, it was really an experience that I'll never forget, and that I want to do more of. It was so incredible, and everyone there like worked so hard every day, long hours to make this movie, and so, you know, I hope that they all get to enjoy this process as well.